Mondays with Mark Allen. Welcome back. Today, I am with one of the great triathletes of all time, Sebastian+Kienle. So great to see you, my friend.
Great to see you, Mark, and thanks for having me.
You know, I've heard a lot of the interviews and read a lot of the articles about this being your final kind of world championship year. How did you come to that decision?
It's a lot of things that go into it, and you know how difficult it is. I mean, I absolutely love the sport, and it had influenced my life in so many very, very positive ways. So it has been quite tough to make this decision, but you know, I've always wanted to end it that way. I wanted to prepare myself for retirement, because yeah, it has been my life for now almost 25 years, 20 years as a professional. So that's a long time. You have to kind of like re-socialize a little bit and you know, get friends with the sort of what to do afterwards. And so that's the first thing. The next thing is I wanted to retire when I'm still able to perform at a very high level. I would not say be able to win world championships. I don't know about that. We're gonna find out. There will be 2 chances, and so we'll find out about that. But yeah, I don't wanna, you know, keep going until my sponsors ask me, hey, don't you think it's time to to do something else? And then obviously it's also I mean, my body is just not on the same level anymore, I have to say, and that's one of the main things is I've been struggling a lot with different kinds of injuries, and I know everybody does, but at one point, you know, it's just getting very difficult also mentally if you are either in rehab or trying to go back and you know, and then you're just on top shape and something pops up again. So yeah, and I think it's a good way, you know, everybody knows it now. And I also want to how do you say, I wanna cut off my way back, you know, by announcing it, because I think I've seen a lot of athletes, and then you have a bad race and you think like, oh, I don't want to retire like that, you know. I just I have to make up for this. Then you do another one and you do another one and you just keep going, but it doesn't get better again, you know. So therefore I think for me it's the right thing to just put a date on it and then say like, okay, after this it's over.
Yeah, that is so wise. I've just like you, I've seen so many athletes not have that clear ending to it, and they go to that one last race thinking this is going to be it, and then they have a lousy race, and then they go, oh wait a minute, no, let me do one more and one more and one more, and then the next thing they know, it's 3 years later, and their performance, it doesn't get any better at one point. So 20 years as a professional, that's amazing. You know, the first time I actually saw you race was in Las Vegas, Ironman 70.3 World Championships, 2012. You remember that race?
Yeah, of course. You know, people obviously, because I've announced my retirement at the end of 2023, people start to ask like, okay, what was the biggest race and so on. I hope the biggest one is still to come, but I mean, that win in Vegas was probably bigger for myself than 2014 in Kona, because it was the first time, and you never get a second chance to surprise yourself. You know, everything that came afterwards wasn't a surprise anymore. Not for me, not for the outside world, and with, you know, the first time when you win a big race, I think that's just so incredible. And I can still remember that feeling very well. Yeah.
I was watching, and you know, you went so fast on the bike, and I thought, this guy is going to completely blow up on the run. You can't bike that fast and then still run well, but you ran well. And the guy who finished in second place is one of the best runners in the sport, Craig Alexander.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the chances has been pretty good that I would blow up. But you know how it also is there is this upward spiral mentally, and there's this downward spiral mentally. And I was just like, I mean, I was not on a spiral. I was on a rocket upwards. If you race from the front like that, you know, a lot of people say like, yeah, but you don't have the benefit of the draft from the group and so on. Is it tactically wise? And I always think, yes, but you never should underestimate the power of your mental strength that comes with a race like that, because it gives you such a huge boost, you know. Leading that race, having the helicopter over me and knowing that I'm actually just like putting 3-4 minutes into those guys after I made up 3 minutes after the swim. That just gave me this you know, this crazy feeling of being so strong and unbeatable. And if an athlete has something like that, such an upward push, you can do things that you would probably normally never be able to do. And that was throughout my career, you know. I've never been the guy that performed super well on any sort of like diagnostic tests and stuff like that, but on race day I still beat most of the people that have better numbers than me and race smarter and so on. But if you race with your heart and if you use that to your advantage, it can be great. But of course, it also can work against you.
You know, I always tell people you have to race beyond the numbers. Like you just said, you have to go beyond what's in the logbook. And on race day, it doesn't matter what you have in the logbook, because there's that heart and there's that mentality. And, you know, when you're in the front of the race like that, you're not just leading the race. It's like in that moment, you're leading the entire sport. You're showing people what is possible. So it's for me, that was an amazing, that was a window into Sebastian+Kienle, you know, what you're capable of doing. You came back, you won in 2013, and then in Kona, you know, obviously you put it all together on a course that was twice as long and a lot of pressure.
Thanks. Hearing that from you, Mark, means a lot for sure.
And well, in 2014, the guy who got third place, somebody that you know pretty well, Jan Frodeno, that must have been an amazing day to put that kind of race together when he was in the event also.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people, I mean, I have to say, and that's also always important to know, Jan had a flat tire that day, and I think he also got a penalty. But that's also things that are just part of the sport. And Jan actually also raced in Vegas 2013. A lot of people forget that. He dropped out on the run, but he was, I think, already 5-6 minutes behind. And I mean, you know, Jan for me is still the GOAT in triathlon. And you know, winning the Olympics and Kona, and not just like, you know, a normal Kona win in the fashion he did a couple of times, being unbeatable for 18 races. But I can still remember one thing, and that was, I think, press conference prior to the race in 2013. I think Jan called me a one-trick pony, and the funny thing was, the same trick worked again in 2013. So as long as the pony is winning the races with the same trick over and over, and I think in 2014 the same trick worked again. So therefore, it's probably sometimes it's better to be a one-trick pony and know very well what that one trick does to a lot of the other ponies.
Yeah, if those other ponies can't keep up, then keep doing it. That's for sure. Let's fast forward to this year, 22, you have two big world championships on your calendar. The first one coming up in May in St. George. We just got the news that Jan is out, which actually in the men's field makes you the only Ironman World Champion who will be on that start line. Pretty amazing, isn't that?
Yeah, it's crazy. It also is very telling how the sport developed in the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, look at that podium, at that last podium at the Ironman World Championship we had. That was 2019. Jan won, and T.O. got second. I got third. I mean, leading into this year's St. George, I think nobody would bet on this podium again for good reasons. I mean, I would probably still betting on Jan, but being on the podium. Now he's not racing, but yeah, the sport developed very, very quick, and it's good. That's how it should be, you know. I love my sport to see it develop, but yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a race in St. George, and hopefully then in Kona, also again with my German mates again. Yeah, I mean, we have been, yeah, the favorites in the last, I don't know, 6-7 editions of long course world championships, and I think this year no more.
Things have definitely evolved. You know, the Norwegians and, you know, Lionel Sanders and Sam Long. I mean, the list is so long of athletes that have really built in this sort of COVID period and without racing. But the thing that will be interesting, I think, for me in St. George is that it's the first time that everybody's gotten together since 2019 to have a full big Ironman race. It's one thing to win when there's one other person, you know, that you have your eye on. It's another thing when the entire field is somebody that can possibly win it. You have that experience. You're the only one.
And yeah, and probably nobody knows it better than you, how different it is and what that means. I mean, you can be in top shape and winning all those races, but then it's world championship time, and it's just another beast, you know. And I think that's a reason why, when you look at the results of the last, let's say, 10 editions of Ironman Hawaii World Championship, you will find a lot of the same names in the top 10 over and over and over again. And also, I mean, I've been in the sport long enough to hear all those predictions. Yeah, now the short course guys are coming, and they will take over and so on. And yes, there's no doubt that Gustav and Christian Blumenfeld, they had amazing performances. But it, like you said, it was not on a race where everybody was on the line. And I think it's not just the race day, it's also what it does to the athletes leading up to the race, because you know, everybody is you know, putting this little extra effort, this little bit more, and sometimes it's just too much, you know. And I've seen so many very talented athletes who had a chance to make the podium or even win the race in Kona, and they just buried themselves before the race even started. And I think that's my only advantage I have, is that I know this hype, and that I know this feeling, what it does to your body and your motivation, that it's so easy to cook yourself in front of before this big race, that I would probably not do it. But
yeah, you definitely have to save your best for the day that counts most. Who cares how great you trained? And maybe part of that is just that a lot of the athletes seem to have these huge entourages, these huge teams around them. And, you know, I will never forget at Ironman Germany in 2019, you were there, but, you know, I was watching Jan, or I was watching, you know, just every one of the men, every one of the top women, they had all these people around them. And then you walked in the hotel and you had your wife. It was such a different, such a different approach and do you think that's something that's helped you to really just stay on track for so many years, just keeping things simple. You live in a small town, but clearly it's that one trick pony on how you train is also work.
Yeah, I mean, consistency is not only key when it comes to training, but it's especially to your everyday life. You know, I mean, you can work like a beast, but if you are not in a happy place, and if you're not surrounded with people that elevate you, that that do you good, that you know, that get you in a good mood, it's gonna be very, very difficult. And I think that's where I'm just very happy to have this consistency. And now also with my little boy, you know, he had a family is even more important, you know, to yeah, to be able to on the one hand side not miss out, you know, on these amazing moments, but at the same time to still be able to recover well, to do all the training. That definitely helps. And yeah, I mean, everybody is different, you know, that's for sure. But I've always liked the way I did it. And to add what you said is, I think one of the big things is also social media. You know, now everybody puts all the training sessions on Strava and so on and so on. You can you as a young athlete, I mean, when I grew up as a young athlete, we didn't have that, but I couldn't remember how much of an impact it has to you if you hear your key competitions, training sessions, and what he does on the track and this and that. You can get quite confused, you know. And nowadays it's constantly you get confronted with all the other training sessions and the chit chat and so on. So yeah, I mean, it definitely helps to be one of the ponies that's around for a little bit longer and know what it does to you, what it can do, and when you just need to switch off.
Knowing how to filter all that noise out so that you can just dial in your own consistency and do what's important for your own body. When you get to the end of this year and you look back, what do you hope to see? What would define a successful year for you?
First of all, to finish both of the World Championship races in St. George and Kona, that would already be good, you know. And then just to still be competitive, you know. It's also, for me, it's very, very difficult because I didn't race that year, and in the last few years, I mean, nobody raced a lot. I mean, I dropped out in Ross, which is, I think I just dropped out 2 times in my whole career. That was Hawaii 2018 and then Ross last year. And then I had a okay race in South Africa, but it's just the level of uncertainty is really big. I know, obviously, I'm in good shape and so on. Everything looks all right, but what does it mean in a competition? I don't know. And so therefore, it would be great to just be, you know, in the mix and have a chance. You know, I mean, you know, this races are crazy, like you said. A lot of things can happen, and so therefore I know I'm not going into the race as one of the favorites, but if I would be able to surprise myself one last time in my career at one of those races, that would be awesome.
Well, you surprised yourself in 2012. 10 years later, it indeed would be great to have another surprise, and we would all love to see that surprise come out either in St. George and Kona. Either one, we don't care. Both, that's even better. What will we see Sebastian Kienle doing after 2023?
I think I will do 1 year of just, you know, traveling with the family, and basically still doing some sport, but no more triathlons. I would do maybe a couple of gravel races, something like that. just yeah, to you know, before my son gets into school, and it would be amazing to be able to show him parts of the world I've been traveling in the last 20 years. That would be amazing. That would be a great finish of this part of life. And then I would love to support my wife. You know, she supported me for such a long time now. So whenever she wants to do something, I would be yeah, happy to take one step back and just support her in what her goals would be. But other than that, I will be still be around in the sport for sure, either for commentary or for you know, for some of my sponsors. They still love to work with me with products and stuff like that. So will not be completely out of the sport, but yeah, for sure not as an athlete, also not as an amateur athlete.
Well, you will always have a place in the sport, that's for sure. And you say you're not a favorite, maybe to win the race, for sure. For sure, you are a favorite of everybody in terms of just being a legend in the sport and doing everything that you have and being such a humble and amazing person. I wish you all the best for this year. I can't wait to see you in St. George and also in Kona.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me, and thanks everybody for listening and watching.
Mondays with Mark Allen, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed this conversation with Sebastian Kienle. Check him out on race day, and let's see if he can pull out a surprise for everybody. Take care.